So February came and went like it's the shortest month or something, but I grabbed some new stuff, so let's just talk about them. Autumn actually picked up The Croods, A New Age. I personally really enjoyed the first one, and with theaters not really being a thing anymore, we waited for the sequel to get a home release, and to me the sequel was probably just about as good as the first. Foremost, the animation here is stunning. Not only do the details and the textures look great, but the use of color and how vibrant the film is really amazing. Another thing I really liked is that they stay pretty true to the characters from the first film. While the characters grow and get more development, they don't feel like they deviate from their core. This time around, the Croods and Guy come across an oasis when they meet the Bettermans. The Bettermans live a much more modern lifestyle, and the Croods try to adapt, which leads into some funny moments, but also probably my biggest issue with the film. Something I really love about the first film was the caveman setting. This time around, it feels more like a fish out of water caveman in a modern society kind of story, and they use a lot of modern technology, but since it's prehistoric time, they kind of Flintstone it. It's not bad, and it doesn't ruin the movie. It even adds some funny moments, but it does take away some of the charm that I really loved from the first film. For special features, we get 2 short films, Family Movie Night, Little Red Banana Bread, and Dear Diary, World's First Prank. Actually, there is another short film on this called Gerard that's not even like labeled on the back. Some deleted scenes, How to Draw Caveman Style, Stone Age Snack Attack, and Family Leaf Album. I think if you enjoyed the first film, then you'll probably enjoy the second one as well. Another one of the newer releases I picked up was Sputnik. This is a Russian horror film about a space crew returning to Earth after being attacked. Only one survived, and now he has a parasite living inside him. The main character, played by Okansana Akashina, maybe pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize, has to figure out how to separate the parasite from the astronaut, and it's pretty okay. This is one of those films that's like right down the middle for me. The performances are fine, cinematography, lighting, and editing are all fine, but the story, outside of some decent gore moments, doesn't really offer anything that new, and has a ton of moments where characters are just making stupid decisions for plot purposes. It's one though that definitely had nice pacing considering it's almost 2 hours long. It definitely didn't feel 2 hours. But Sputnik was released by Scream Factory, and it's one of the most bare Scream Factory releases I've ever seen. For special features, we only get an audio descriptive track and theatrical trailer, and the reversible artwork is pretty much similar to the original. If this seems interesting to you, then definitely check it out, but for me it's like a 5 out of 10. February finally brought some movies that I've wanted on Blu-ray for a long time, and one of those is Small Soldiers. This is my childhood movie. I think we all have that one movie we watched ad nauseum as a kid, and mine was Small Soldiers. I could not get enough of this movie as a kid, and even had a handful of the action figures, and even like this like knockoff battleship game. It's one though that I honestly haven't seen since VHS days. I don't know why I never bought this on DVD, maybe because I always thought it should have a Blu-ray and it was probably around the corner and it just never came till now. But I've always been saying for years I wish it had a Blu-ray. I'm glad it finally does. After rewatching it, first off, the Blu-ray transfer looks good, but this film totally holds up. This is a really fun, fast-paced film with a lot of great moments. There's moments where the CGI hasn't held up as well, but overall, this is a really great looking film with a lot of good effects. The story about 2 factions of AI toys going to an all-out war with each other while 2 families are kind of caught in the middle is just a ton of fun. Rewatching as an adult, I was kind of blown away by how well this film handles tone. There's some scenes that feel ripped straight out of a horror film, and others that are almost these like large scale action set pieces, but since they're toys, it's all small, all while balancing comedic aspects during the entire film. It's great. For special features, we get a behind the scenes that I'd like to check out at some point in a blooper reel, but this is one I honestly can't recommend enough. Good Burger is another one that I was pretty excited when I heard it was finally getting a Blu-ray. I've had this one on DVD for a long time, but it's been years since I've watched it, and after rewatching it, I'm surprised by how funny this movie really is. Let me just say like 90% of the laughs come from Kel Mitchell's character Ed. He's just so dumb, but it's to a level where it's just humorous. The film follows Kenan Thompson's character after getting in a car crash and needs money for their repairs, so he gets a job at Good Burger's new competitor Mondo Burger, owned by Spider One. When Kenan gets fired, he ends up over at Good Burger, and the 2 burger joints compete against each other. It's over the top and goofy, but Kenan and Kel have such amazing chemistry together. I mean, after all, they ended up having their own show together, but the rest of the cast doesn't offer as much as those 2 do. This is one though that I'm not sure, without my nostalgia for the film, all that, and Kenan and Kel, if it would hold up as well, but I'll wear those rose tinted glasses all day for this one. For special features, we only get the original Good Burger skit, and that's pretty much it, but I'm surprised by how enjoyable this one still is. I grabbed The Little Prince from Walmart. This is a film that's been on my watch list for a little while and just got a re-release, and I loved it so much that it's the pick of the month. The film is directed by Mark Osborne, who also co-directed Kung Fu Panda and the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The cast is incredible. I mean, it's got Jeff Bridges, Marion Cotillard, Benicio del Toro, James Franco, Paul Giamatti, Albert Brooks, Paul Rudd, Bud Cort, Rachel McAdams, Riley Osborne, and Mackenzie Foy. I mean, it's a really studded cast. I normally hear the excuse that for kids' films, it's only a kids' movie to make up for its lacking qualities, but when a film like The Little Prince exists, it's hard to keep that argument. The film is about a young girl and her mother moving into a new house with a crazy old neighbor next door played by Bridges. The girl befriends him and he tells her a story of the Little Prince. The film balances between 3D CG animation and stop animation seamlessly. The 3D animation is on par with something like Pixar, while the stop animation is just breathtaking. But what I really think stands out about this film is the messages it presents and how it presents them in a child-friendly, digestible manner. The film is all about the pressures we put on children and not giving them the space they need to just be a child, how you can lose that spark of individuality and become just another working drone, how becoming an adult doesn't mean losing that spark. The film also carefully presents death and family turmoil in such a meaningful way that it almost feels important for kids to see this. I mean, personally, I think it's a must watch for everybody. Even though the characters are never really given a name, they're so well developed with so much personality and life that towards the emotional climax of the film, it's hard not to get sucked into it. For special features, we get a making of and a music video by Camille for the song Turn Around, but this is also available on Netflix, so I would definitely recommend checking this out. Also, just noticed there's a hole in my insert on the back, on like the sleeve. Like how? The plastic is perfectly fine. But yeah, definitely highly recommend this film. I've been pleasantly surprised by how much I've enjoyed the Harley Quinn series, and I'm so glad it finally got a Blu-ray release. I grabbed season 1 on DVD a few months back, so I won't talk about it too much here. From my understanding, this season combo pack is the only way to get the show on Blu-ray currently, at least in the US, but I hate how they did it. It's both seasons across 3 discs, so on disc 2 is the last part of season 1 and the first part of season 2. I don't know, it just hurts my OCD. Either way, I really love season 1. It's vulgar while being bloody and funny with great character development and a really fun story of Harley coming into her own with her ragtag team. Season 2 continues the story, but I don't feel it's as tight as season 1. While the blood and vulgarity hold true, there feels to be a lot more filler in season 2. I'm not saying that I've not really enjoyed season 2, but it takes towards the middle of the season to really get the wheels moving on the story and where it's going. And I personally think season 2 has one of my favorite episodes in the entire series. It's the Parademon episode, if you've seen it. That episode was amazing. I'm really hoping for a season 3 and hopefully another Blu-ray release as well. There doesn't seem to be any special features on this set, but at the time of recording this, the season 1 and 2 Blu-ray combo pack is only like $2 more than season 2 on DVD, so why not? Also, if you have HBO Max, it's on there, so check it out. Really good. The Place of No Words is one that I've regretted not pre-ordering because it's been out of stock since release day. My guess, considering it's a BDR, it's probably a limited run or more of a print on demand kind of thing. I've had it sitting in my Amazon Save for Later for a little while, waiting for it to come back in stock. Then one day, I saw it said 1 left, so I ordered it right away. And honestly, this is a really cool, charming little film. The film kind of feels like a mix of Where the Wild Things Are and The Fall. Mark Webber directed, wrote, and stars in the film alongside his real-life wife, Teresa Palmer, and son, Bodie Palmer. The film follows the family as the dad is sick, and it blends fantasy with the real world as the father takes his son on this journey and how he needs to present the idea to his son that he might not always be around. Considering that he made the film with his real family and presenting this concept must have been difficult at times for them to make. I mean, yeah, they're all actors, but still handling this heavy subject like this with your actual family playing your family probably felt a little weird at times. But this is one I'm really upset about it not having any special features because it's a very small film that was basically made by a family. It would have been really cool for like a director's commentary or behind the scenes. Either way, I really enjoyed this one. All the performances are really good. Considering how young Bodie Palmer is in this film, he gives one of the better child performances I've seen recently. I personally also think this might be Teresa Palmer's best performance I've seen from her. I also really love how the film handles the main concept and how it blends the two worlds seamlessly. While most of the fantasy elements look somewhat fake, it actually adds to the charm of the film and helps blend the two storylines together. To me, this is a little gem of a film that deserves more of a spotlight, and I definitely would recommend it. And another film that finally got a Blu-ray release here recently, Stretch. This is one I've had on DVD for a long time, and I've always considered it a pretty underrated little gem. I've recommended this one to a lot of my friends, and I recommend it to you as well. The film stars Patrick Wilson as a limo driver when he picks up Chris Pine and a wild night starts from there. This film is just a ton of fun and has always been my favorite performance by Patrick Wilson. It almost has like a grindhouse kind of vibe to it. It's very high energy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Kino Lorber put this one out, but it feels like a bare minimum release. For special features, we get an audio commentary of Joe Carnahan, Mally Carnahan, and Rockne Carnahan, commentary track with Eddie Von Mueller, interview with Patrick Wilson, and theatrical trailer, and that's it. Not even reversible artwork. Either way though, I'm really happy to finally get this one in high definition on Blu-ray. Babyteeth was my number 8 on my top 10 best movies of 2020 video that I made. If you've not seen that video, then maybe check it out. As for Babyteeth, this was very close to being the pick of the month. It's the directorial debut of Shannon Murphy, and it's a stunning debut. The film follows Mila, played by Eliza Scanlon, who is an ill teenager that falls in love with the druggie Moses, played by Toby Wallace. The film develops this cast so well that you completely understand them, and you feel like you really get to know them. The relationships between the main characters and the overarching illness is complex but realistic. The visual presentation feels familiar but unique at the same time with a lot of personality. The direction feels strong and confident, and this is one of very few films that almost brought tears to my eyes, so good on you for that. The release doesn't come with any special features, unfortunately. This is another one that I would really love a commentary track on, but I guess it's whatever. I still can't recommend this one enough though, and at the time of recording this, it's available on Hulu, so definitely check this one out. I picked up Freaks when I saw it on sale on Amazon. This is a really cool small sci-fi thriller starring Lexi Kolker, Emil Hirsch, and Bruce Dern. This is one of those films that if you haven't seen it before, then I would definitely recommend going in blind, because the film does such an amazing job slow dripping information to you to keep the story really gripping while also making you trying to figure out what's going on. Most of the film is set in one location, but keeps itself varied enough visually to keep things from getting stale. The small moments of CGI is noticeable, but not enough to really be distracting. Emil Hirsch and Bruce Dern both give amazing performances, but Lexi Kolker is definitely a little hit or miss. But this is a small sci-fi thriller that I would definitely recommend checking out. With this release, we get a director's commentary that I'd really like to check out, and a behind the scenes and some trailers, but this is definitely a fun little film that utilizes its budget really well. Another film I saw on sale on Amazon was Dick Tracy. This was a film I knew nothing about. I didn't even know this film existed until I saw it on sale, and after looking at some screenshots, I had to grab this one. After watching it, I really loved it. Another one that was a contender for pick of the month. It's a noir crime thriller directed and starring Warren Beatty, but this film is a visual feast, winning 3 Oscars for art direction, best makeup, and best original song, and honestly it deserved it. From lighting to set design to costumes, this film is just stunning. I love the over-the-top makeup and character designs for some of them. I guess they were trying to stay close to the comic strip as possible, but it adds a lot of fun to the film, and I just love the way they look. Al Pacino plays the film's antagonist, Big Boy Caprice, and he was my favorite performance in the film by far. He was so much fun in the film, and he just chews up every scene he's in. Warren Beatty plays a good Dick Tracy, but I heard the role was offered to Robert Redford, and I can't imagine how great he would have been in this film. Madonna also shows up in the film, and she's alright, but where the film shines is just the visual moments and embracing its comic origins. If you haven't seen this one, then definitely check it out. I feel like I've been saying that a lot this month, but I feel like I grabbed some really good stuff this month. Unfortunately, again, there's no special features on this one that would have been nice to have like a behind the scenes. But I guess nobody cares about that stuff anymore, but I would definitely recommend checking this one out regardless. Ed Wood is probably the Tim Burton film that I've always wanted to see and just never have. So when I saw it was on sale on Amazon for $6.99, I grabbed it, and after watching it, it might be my favorite Tim Burton movie I've seen. I want to say this first off, I don't know very much about Ed Wood. I know that he's considered one of the worst directors of all time, and that Plan 9 from Outer Space was a big hit among the so bad it's good movies crowd, but I've not seen it, nor have I seen any of his other films. But the film follows Ed Wood as he begins his film career, befriends Bela Lugosi, and as someone who loves film and filmmaking, this is just such a treat to watch. Like watching them basically do a bunch of stuff you probably shouldn't do to try to get movies made, and the kind of the DIY aspect of some of the shots. And I just love too the fact that like Ed Wood is like, cut, great, perfect, print. And it's like, you don't want to do another cut? Nope, great, move on. It's like you just did the one take. I don't know, it was funny every time it happened. Johnny Depp does such an amazing job here to bring a very charismatic character to life, but the standout to me without a doubt is Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi. He was great. The film is very well shot, and Burton's kind of eccentric style complements Ed Wood's strange nature, and it's just kind of a lot of fun. The film comes with some deleted scenes, a makeup featurette around Bela Lugosi, production design featurette behind the scenes, a documentary on the Thurman, audio commentary with cast and filmmakers, and music video composed by Howard Shore. Again, definitely recommend checking this one out. Now on to the horror pack stuff. One of them was The Lost from 2006, and it's super boring. The film follows a man named Ray Pye who stuffs crushed up beer cans in his boots to appear taller. Well, he's a garbage human being who kills people and abuses women. His own mother has a motel that he works at, so it's very much akin to Psycho. And they even reference it at some point where he picks up the phone and he says Bates Motel, even though that's not the name of the motel in the movie. During the time that Ray is being Ray, a detective is working to bring him down and connect him to a couple murders from years ago. It honestly sounds like a premise that I would really enjoy, but it's so drug out, and Mark Center, who plays Ray, was one of the weakest performances of the film. He's doing these horrendous things, and the film plays him off as being like this slick-styled guy who's so unhinged, but I didn't buy any of that. The best performance by far was from Shea Star, but everyone else was pretty hit or miss. My biggest issue with the film is there's a large amount of dead air. There's multiple scenes that feel like you could completely cut them out of the film and you wouldn't know any different. They felt like they contributed nothing to the overall story, which made the film seem to last forever. I will say this though, the soundtrack of licensed music was pretty great. It's a nice selection of songs that I've looked a couple up since. The release doesn't come with any special features, but this is one I probably wouldn't recommend. One that I was really happy to see in this month's horror pack was Satanic Panic, or Panic because Walmart censored the satanic part out of the slipcase. Like, the case inside the slipcase still says Satanic Panic, and I just love the fact that on the front cover, somebody is smoking, there's blood coming from somebody's eyes, a child is holding a bunny with blood all over her mouth, and there's a giant pentagram, but the word satanic is the issue. Anyway, the film is about a pizza delivery girl delivering pizza like they normally do. When she has to deliver a pizza to a rich neighborhood, when she stumbles across the fact that these rich people are in a satanic cult, and since she's a virgin, they're trying to force her to give birth to Baphomet. It's a really fun concept with some good moments, but also some moments that really drag, and some humor that didn't land for me. For the most part, all the performances are pretty good, but the film does feel really lacking on a visual side and has a really forgettable score. But I think Autumn enjoyed this one a lot more than I did, so if this seems interesting to you, then definitely check it out. To me, it just didn't land as well, but I definitely don't think it's a bad movie either. The film comes with a making of featurette, interviews that focus on the girl power in the making of the film, and interviews about the characters Sam and Judy. The horror pack also came with the extra yummy collector's edition of Yummy, a zombie movie I've never heard of before, and it's alright. The film is about a couple and the woman's mother going to a sketchy plastic surgery hospital so the woman can get a breast reduction when a zombie outbreak happens at the hospital because of the experiments the hospital is running behind closed doors. The film is a horror comedy, and personally I don't think it really excelled at either. Barely any of the humor landed for me, and while there's some fun gore moments, not much of the horror landed either. The performances are okay, but most are not native English speakers, and most of the film is in English, and at times I was having trouble understanding what they were saying because of how the audio was mixed. Subtitles helped out after that point though, but still could have probably been mixed better. The gore effects and the makeup were pretty good, probably the best parts of the movie. And there are some good moments of music throughout the film, but there was a returning theme that got pretty old pretty quick. It's one of those movies where I feel like the pros and cons kind of neutral each other out. Now on the back of the case, this says it's a Blu-ray DVD combo pack, but I only received the Blu-ray, and it's a single disc as well. It was the Deal Horror Pack and Raven Banner. For bonus features, we get a director's diary, web promos, short film Patient Zero, short film Striker Bob, and some trailers. But yeah, this is one of them that's just kind of right down the middle for me. The last thing in the horror pack for February is the horror pack exclusive Werewolf, and I really enjoyed this one, if you can enjoy this one, because it's pretty bleak. First off, this movie is very mistitled. There is no werewolves in the film whatsoever. The film is actually about a group of children being liberated from a Nazi concentration camp during World War II and is dropped off in an abandoned house in the meantime. Since the Nazis were trying to beat feet out of there, their trained dogs are now on the loose and starving. While the children are at the house, the dogs find the kids living there and surround the house. With no food or water, the kids need to figure out a way to escape, all while struggling to get along and the mental trauma of the camp starting to set in. Like I said, this is a bleak film that's very well shot, has amazing performances, but due to its one location and simple plot, does suffer from some pacing issues. For a film that's only 88 minutes long, it feels more like a 2-hour movie, and there does feel like there's some moments that could have been trimmed down for sure, but overall this is a pretty well made film that I would still really recommend. For special features, we only get a stills gallery and some trailers. To round off the February pack, this was a pretty cool pack. I found the Blu-ray of I'm Still Here at the Dollar Tree. I grabbed this one on DVD last month from Big Lots, and I talked about a lot more there, so I'm just not going to talk about it very much here. All the special features are the same, and it's a pretty decent movie, but if it wasn't for $1, I probably wouldn't have upgraded it to Blu-ray, but for $1, why not? The only other thing I grabbed at the Dollar Tree this month is The Fake. This is a film that I've heard about before, and I believe the Blu-ray is out of print, but it's a film by Yeon Sang-ho. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The director of Train to Busan and the Train to Busan movie we don't talk about. It's a Korean animated film that has an interesting art style. The backgrounds and environments are 2D, but the characters almost feel somewhat 3D. The film follows a drunk, a preacher, and a con artist in a village that's going to be flooded to build a dam. The film focuses on the villagers and the village life, while these characters navigate through their own issues, and the film is super nihilistic. The main point of the film feels like not everyone is who they seem, don't trust anyone, and feels ultimately hopeless. There's some really brutal and unforgiving moments, but the characters are really well developed, and it makes for a captivating watch, even if there's moments that feel like a slog through the mud. The DVD comes with no special features, but Yeon Sang-ho also directed a few other animated films that I would really like to check out now after watching this one. And the last thing I got in February was a Valentine's Day gift from Autumn, the infamous Jiu Jitsu. I say infamous because this film is notoriously considered awful, and the production company or the director was striking down a lot of videos criticizing the film. It's one that I've been curious about because 1, Nick Cage, 2, Tony Jaa, and 3, how it's considered one of the worst movies ever made. After watching it, sure it's bad, but it's really not that bad. Nick Cage gives a fun performance with goofy lines. Tony Jaa is unfortunately barely in the film, and when he is, he's not really performing that great of action set pieces, especially compared to some of the other films I've seen him in. The film's real main character is actually Alan Moosey, who's barely on the cover. And the film is basically a martial arts Predator knockoff, even though there's not really any jujitsu in the movie, like it's titled. Apparently all the fighting styles is just jujitsu in this film, so that's why it's jujitsu. The Predator style alien is okay looking until he shows his mad face, and then it looks just stupid. The special features and visual effects are kind of lame, but as to be expected with such a low budget. The performances all around are pretty bad, but it still has some fun moments. For one, the action set pieces, the director tries a lot of interesting ideas, but the problem here is the execution. There's one scene that takes place as first person point of view, but then the character behind the camera will jump out, fight, and then jump back behind the camera. The transitions are really awkward, and it feels like it takes a long time. Overall though, the film isn't as bad as I was expecting, and honestly I never felt bored with the film. It's not good, but it's definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen. Once again, no special features. By the way, thank you Autumn for the V-Day gift. Can never get enough Cage. And that pretty much sums up the February update. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you next month. Take it easy. Peace.
Wow.